Tonight from downtown Indianapolis, the Fever welcome in the Seattle Storm with major playoff implications on the line tonight.
All right, y'all, look, it's a big one tonight, okay? It's an important one. This has got to be our best 40 minutes. This has got to be our most intentional 40 minutes in everything that we do, okay? Look, no one person needs to do anything outside of themselves, right? But every single person in this locker room needs to be the best version of themselves.
What if I told you the Indiana Fever didn't just win, they made history 6 different times in one night? The Fever crushed the Seattle Storm by 20, but that's not even the biggest story. With Caitlin Clark sidelined, her Nike logo lighting up Gainbridge, and 5 teammates also out, Indiana proved they're more than just surviving. They're breaking records while climbing back into playoff position. You're about to see how this one game changed everything. The grit, the records, and what Clark's return could mean for the future. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. If you're fired up, then comment "fired up for the Fever." Let's go.
Leah Boston and Izzy McMagor in the center jump circle. We are underway from Indianapolis. Odyssey Sims tracks down the jump ball and lays it in.
Sims wearing bright pink shoes, passes to Mitchell, right corner 3. It's good, and it's a record! 771 points and counting in 2025 for Kelsey Mitchell, the most in Fever franchise history.
What happens when a player doesn't even step on the floor, but her presence defines the entire night? That was the scene at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the spotlight shined on Caitlin Clark. Despite her sitting on the sideline in street clothes, Nike had chosen this game as the stage to launch her signature logo, and the energy made the arena feel less like a late August regular season contest and more like a citywide celebration. The double CC symbol covered the building, glowing outside on giant displays and stretched across t-shirts handed to every fan who walked through the doors. Thousands of people put them on instantly, giving the crowd a unified look, almost like a stadium-wide team uniform.
It looks really unique, I think it's very creative for Caitlin Clark to come up with something like this. And I just enjoy all of it, it's like aura.
We love it! It's simple, yet it speaks a lot.
I love it so much.
I'm a big fan of it. Simplicity is the best. I like the design. Nike always does great with design, so I'm a huge fan of the logo.
It looks really cool. I was really excited to see it last night, and it looks like we're going to get shirts with it on it, so that's pretty exciting too.
I like it. I like how it incorporates the CC.
I love it. Double C's. Let's go, Caitlin!
Inside the arena, you could feel the buzz. Before the first possession, Clark's absence didn't seem to matter. Her brand held the building. Gainbridge had been transformed into Caitlin Clark Arena. Everywhere you looked, there was a banner, a piece of merchandise, or a fan clutching some limited edition gear. This wasn't just WNBA basketball, it was a cultural event. Pre-game ceremonies only magnified the anticipation, and you heard cheers swell every time her name was mentioned, despite it being her 16th straight game out with injury.
Feels good. Got the pants, got the charms, necklace, zipper, everything.
But here's where the tension kicked in. Clark wasn't the only one in street clothes. Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald were also unavailable. That meant 5 Fever players sidelined. While the team itself had dropped 4 of its last 5, the playoff race had already squeezed into a survival test, and Indiana knew a stumble here could cost them more than just one night. It could have pushed them deeper down the standings.
AB's been the one that's been most affected by all of our injuries. All of the point guards that know how to get her the ball and how they get it to her, and it's not just getting her the ball, it's where you get it to her, getting it to her on time, on target, thinking one pass ahead, all that matters. And I thought today, her aggressiveness with the ball in her hands to the rim, getting into defenders, playing low to high instead of high to low. When she plays like that, there's nobody that can stop her, and she set the tone for us, really on both ends. She had the NECA assignment as well and set the tone for us on both ends. And, she was terrific.
So the story of this game became a contrast. Off the court, Indiana built a spectacle around their star. On the court, they faced a roster patched with missing pieces and a difficult task in slowing down the Storm. Coach Stephanie White even admitted before tip-off that Indiana needed to treat this like a playoff atmosphere, that every single game mattered, and Aaliyah Boston put it simply, the place felt like May basketball, not August.
It's special. I mean, there's very few people who get the opportunity to say that they have a logo and to to make the impact that she makes, not just I think in the sport, but globally, just by being who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together, and I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the chairs out there, it's really cool. And it's really special and shoot, I'm talking about it right now, and just feeling the intense gratitude for me personally, being in women's basketball, to be able to be a part of this moment and to celebrate with her.
That kind of weight meant the players couldn't walk in and just go through the motions. Something about the mix of celebration and urgency pushed the intensity higher, and oddly enough, while the CC letters glowed across the walls, it turned out someone else's hand caught fire on the scoreboard. Indiana jumped out fast, hitting every quarter with more than 20 points, setting a tone that Seattle never matched. The Fever never trailed. By the end, the scoreboard read 95-75. The win didn't just draw a cheer, it pushed Indiana back into the 6th seed of the standings, climbing from 8th when the night began. The fans came wearing Clark's logo, but they left talking about an entire team that had turned the moment into dominance. Next came the grit and toughness that truly defined this stage.
And Gabby Williams were slow to get up after a collision underneath the basket. Here's what happened.
Oh, that is a major collision for the two of them. They both knock heads. It took them both some time to get to their feet.
What's the turning point in a season where a team could have folded under injuries but didn't? You didn't have to wait long to feel it in this game. Just minutes into the first quarter, the entire arena fell silent when Lexi Hull and Gabby Williams collided, hard heads crashing together as they both fought for a loose ball. The sound echoed, and then came the sight, Hull walking off with a massive knot forming on her forehead. The crowd gasped, and suddenly all that celebration from earlier in the night shifted into worried quiet. With 5 of her teammates already out, the thought of losing Hull in that moment felt crushing.
Lexi Hull gets hit in the head there at the beginning of the game, comes back in. If you could just speak to her toughness and what it meant seeing her fight through what sure was not very pleasant.
I feel like Lexi's the definition of tough.
Yes.
I think when you just think of her as a player, the way that she hustles, she likes to get loose balls, extra offensive possessions. That's what she does. I mean, she got hit, she came back and just continued to contribute again. Was a pest on defense, just making her presence felt, offensive rebounds, and that's just who Lexi is. So.
But not even 10 minutes later, the place exploded again. Hull checked back into the game, the swelling still clear on her face, and instantly the energy flipped. Her toughness set a tone. After the game, Aaliyah Boston put it in plain words. She said, "Hull is the definition of tough, and you could see why." Coach Stephanie White went even further, calling the hit disgusting. Yet Hull shrugged it off herself, downplaying the injury and even laughing later when she said that everybody told her she looked beautiful with the lump. That willingness to just keep going resonated, and it gave the Fever something to rally behind.
Yeah, I mean, that was disgusting. I don't know if y'all saw it, but I mean, it's who she is. She's just a tough young woman who battles every possession, and you can never tell if Lexi does, if she's hurt, if she's injured, if she goes down, if she gets back up. She just always has the same expression, and she just plays her butt off. And I'm thankful that it wasn't worse, and thankful that she was able to come back. But she really kind of epitomizes the toughness and the grit of this team.
What it triggered was a complete shift in how Indiana played. They started owning every possession. The rebounding battle turned into a landslide, 42-21, fueled by Hull herself, grabbing 9 boards alongside Boston and aerial powers. And if you were looking for dominance in the paint, Boston gave it without hesitation. She finished with 27 points on 10 of 18 shooting and bullied Seattle inside. Every touch looked like a mismatch. Every possession felt like a message that Indiana wasn't going to be the team playing scared.
Williams drive, passes, Breezy with a block. She swats Malunga. Fever in transition left to right, Powers at the right elbow. Backing down Diggins, passes left wing, Kelsey fires, got it! The defense to offense, and the Fever lead by 10. It's 22-12 with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Not at these 10. knocks down a 3.
At the same time, Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims provided the firepower on the perimeter. Mitchell sliced through screens and made backdoor cuts that even left Storm veteran Neka Ogwumaike admitting afterward that Mitchell was the head of the snake they couldn't contain. Sims added a statement of her own, not just with 22 points, but with a wild contested bank shot from nearly 35 feet, the type of play that makes a crowd lose its mind. Together, Boston, Mitchell, and Sims turned the Fever into an unstoppable force, each cracking 20+ points while putting constant pressure on Seattle at both ends.
Kelsey pick and roll, and DD plays it in. Lexi left wing, rise and fire. Yes! Howard skip pass, AB, watch 3 right side. Book it.
Mitchell sees 2. There's Boston.
Short roll into the face.
They didn't get a good look, and it's Boston to Mitchell.
That wraps up the first half. The Fever lead the Storm 50-39.
And here's the rare part. This wasn't a hot half or single run. Indiana scored at least 21 points every quarter and held the Storm under 20 in each. It was balance, consistency, and a three-headed attack that simply swept Seattle off the floor. For a team that had stumbled through weeks of ups and downs, this was their cleanest four-quarter performance all season. But what made it historic wasn't just the score. Hidden inside this victory were performances that shattered the Fever record books, and the list ended up longer than anyone expected.
Boston gets the bounce. And it's Howard to Boston.
16,737 on their feet at Cambridge Fieldhouse. Final score, Fever 95, Storm 75. A statement victory for Indiana to spring ahead of Seattle in the standings.
How many pieces of history can a single team write in one night? The answer here is 6. That's exactly what the Fever delivered in this win. It wasn't just a solid performance against Seattle, it turned into one of the most record-setting games in the history of the franchise. And the first headline belonged to Kelsey Mitchell. By dropping 21 points, she passed Caitlin Clark's franchise single-season scoring record. The fact that Clark set that bar only last year shows how quickly the standard for this young team keeps rising. You can already feel it. These two are going to trade this record back and forth for years to come. Mitchell didn't stop there either. She also became the league leader in 20-point games this season, sitting above every other scorer in the WNBA.
And Cal set a new franchise record for most points in a single season.
As Ogwumaike gets it to go. Mitchell, quick trigger, and hits.
Unguardable. No one can guard.
But here's the fascinating part. While this could sound like Mitchell overshadowing Clark, it actually builds the future for what's coming. When Clark is healthy later and Mitchell is still climbing, the scoring punch between them will probably shape the identity of this franchise for the next decade.
Sykes doing a good job of stuffing that backdoor cut, but it just sets up the screen and roll. It's all Kelsey Mitchell. The subtle things, the amount of attention.
Aaliyah Boston wasn't about to leave her fingerprints off the history books either. Boston hit 1,000 career rebounds, becoming only the second youngest player in league history to do it. The only player younger was Tina Charles, putting Boston in select company. The type of milestone that signals greatness arriving early. Beyond the raw number, it underlines how efficient she is every single game. She's not just stacking stats, she's already one of the anchors for her team's energy and defensive backbone.
AB, 1,000th career rebound. Youngest player in Fever history to do so.
And good hands there by Aaliyah. Boston just wrestles it away from Ogwumaike, and here is Mitchell.
Usually you'd have a 2-for-1 right here if you had Caitlin Clark on the floor, but without Caitlin Clark, you really need to get a good look.
They do get a good look, and it's Boston to Mitchell. Here is Boston going at the rookie. Boston using her strength to get to the rim.
That 1-4 dribble puts the shot blocker inside the cylinder of the rim.
And as if that wasn't enough, she added a second milestone. Boston became the second fastest WNBA player ever to reach 1,000 rebounds and 350 assists, behind only Candace Parker. Think about the weight of that. Two names, Boston and Parker, alone in that category. It speaks to her versatility, how she blends vision and passing with dominance inside.
It's just a really good job. That's what I'm talking about. An extra dribble to get Malanga inside the cylinder of the rim.
It's been a strong start to the third quarter here for Indiana. An 11-point lead has grown to 16, and Boston adding to it, and one in a foul.
Screen and roll, and a good steal. I say this.
Meanwhile, Odyssey Sims showed why her addition has been more than just depth. She became the second fastest player in franchise history to reach 50 points and 25 assists. The only one who did it faster was Caitlin Clark. That puts Sims right in the conversation with the Fever's franchise player, and it shows that she's been an immediate difference maker in Clark's absence.
Aaliyah Boston and Izzy Magbagor in the center jump circle. We are underway from Indianapolis. Odyssey Sims tracks down the jump ball and lays it in. Here is Sims, one of those newcomers, slicing through the defense and gets to the rim.
I love the vertical game of the Fever right now.
In this building, 2007, finished third all-time points scored. IHSA basketball history on the girls' side as Odyssey Sims knocks down a three.
And then came one more layer of history. Boston, Mitchell, and Sims all scoring 20 or more points, each doing it in under 30 minutes. That's so rare. It's happened only 6 times in league history. Not for a team known for scraping together wins, but here they were, flexing true offensive depth. So the question now becomes, what happens when Clark returns to join this group? Because if a shorthanded Fever team can break 6 records in one night, the ceiling hasn't even been touched yet.
Okay, really great stuff. That's the most complete game we put together in a long time. We made more free throws than they attempted. Yo, hey, that is a difference maker for us, and that will be a difference maker for us. 22 assists on 36 made field goals. Total team effort.
AB, 1,000th career rebound. Fastest player in Fever history to do so.
Thanks, ladies.
And Kel set a new franchise record for most points in a single season.
Wow!
You're a dog.
Let me kiss ass.
Hey,
What if the player who wasn't even on the court could still be the key to saving an entire season? That's exactly the question around Caitlin Clark right now. She's been sidelined since June 15th with a right groin injury, 16 straight games missed, 25 total regular season contests, plus the Commissioner's Cup final. That's a massive hole for the Fever, who had to reinvent their identity on the fly. But every time Clark's name gets mentioned, fans perk up because her return isn't just another roster move, it could flip the entire playoff race.
I don't have any specifics on it. I think right now it's day to day. She's progressed in her rehab and anticipate by hopefully what is today? What day is today? Tuesday. By hopefully end of the week she'll be on the floor at least in practice.
What have you been missing without her? You know, I was talking to her recently about what she brought to you guys, but what do you feel like you've lacked when she is absent from these games?
The ability to spread the floor for AB. I mean, really to have another person that can knock down a shot and we can create some space for AB to go to work on the interior.
Coach Stephanie White has been clear about her approach. She doesn't just want Clark thrown into games cold. She said she needs to see her back in full practice, live in practice, as she explained, not only building endurance, but handling contact across the full 94 feet. That's the bar, because the team isn't thinking about a scattered return. They're weighing whether Clark can physically take every bump, every push, and do it across playoff level minutes. And make no mistake, the clock is ticking. The Fever sit at 20-18, holding on to the 6th seed by only half a game. 6 games remain, and they'll see the Sparks, Valkyries, Mercury, Sky, Mystics, and Lynx. That's a mix of must-wins and potential landmines. Drop a couple and the playoff picture gets tense, win out, and suddenly Indiana could climb into real momentum. It's a razor's edge, and Clark's status sits directly in the middle of it.
Just curious on a big picture, was Caitlin able to go through your little walkthrough or whatever you normally do? And what do you want to see ultimately to get comfort whenever the time comes?
Yeah, she went through our walkthrough yesterday. Today it was very short, prior to game time, but she went through it yesterday, and I want to see her in practice, live in practice. I want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in game, and to be able to do that and sustain from an endurance standpoint. And that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. And as most of us know, when we get fatigued, we look different, and see how she plays through fatigue.
So what exactly does she bring back? Well, last season told the story. She set the Fever single season scoring record in her first year. Now Kelsey Mitchell has just passed that in her absence. Imagine pairing Clark's limitless range with Mitchell slashing and Boston's inside dominance. Add Sims's veteran play and Hull's defense, and you're not just talking about a playoff hopeful, you're talking about a team that forces every opponent into matchup nightmares. But here's where it gets tricky. White mentioned the concern isn't just when Clark returns, but how ready she'll be. Endurance, conditioning, physicality, it's all part of what determines if she can elevate her teammates or if she'll need to ease back in. The domino effect of her return would be immediate. Boston could see more open looks inside, Mitchell would have another creator alongside her, and defenses would stretch so far out that players like Hull and Bibby could thrive off open space. The bigger question though is, can Clark return healthy enough in time to turn this team from clinging to a playoff spot into a contender nobody wants to face? Because her comeback wouldn't just be about one player, it would be about transforming all this potential into championship level reality. And when you look back at the night Indiana broke 6 records without her, the thought becomes impossible to ignore. This might only be a preview of what happens when the Fever are finally at full strength. This win wasn't just about the scoreboard. It gave Indiana something more lasting, an identity built on toughness, depth, and a belief that even without their star, they can still dominate. 6 records in one night showed this roster isn't waiting for tomorrow. They're already building history today. Now, picture what happens once Caitlin Clark steps back onto the floor. Add her scoring, her vision, and her leadership to Boston, Mitchell, Sims, Hull, and the rest. That's a group built for 2025 and beyond, and with Clark's return on the horizon, the records we saw may only be the beginning of a dynasty. If you're fired up, then comment "fired up" for the Fever, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.